Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some more DC Worlds Collide. We're in the game and we have a question, or at least I do. Is he free to play friendly? And is any legendary free to play friendly? The amount of resources and stuff it takes them to make them useful is pretty steep. And I would argue there isn't a legendary that's free to play friendly. Not in the way the game is constructed with its pity system and how you can go about getting extra shards of the characters, or how easily obtainable nth metals are. If we just take Aquaman right here, get him to level 10, which we want him at level 10, right? Because that's when all these stuff is, he's completely maxed out of all his skills, right? And this is the big one we want. We want this one where there's no limit on how many times he can do this, and he can keep healing that team over and over and over. You need level 10. How long does it take a free-to-play player to get him to level 10? How long does it take you to get 300 shards? Not to mention the 1,940 purple shards you need. Because those you need those too. And like right now I have, well, Wonder Woman doesn't need any, Green Arrow doesn't need any. Right now I have 300 on the, I have 300, 380, 440. So I still need 1,500 more to get him up to level 10. How free to play friendly is that? If you're a free to play person, are you getting these resources pretty easily? I mean, if you're spending money, you can just buy them, or buy the opportunity to get them and just buy encrypted tokens and super encrypted tokens and do the draws and get all that stuff that way. But if you're free to play, you don't have that. And most likely you only got one copy of the character. I spent 130 or so super encrypted tokens to get one, which is what we usually, which most of us get, because it's right here. You only got a 1% chance of getting them outside of pity. And that means 99 out of 100 of us are going to pity to get them. So can you get one copy? Is it worth getting to one copy? And then how long does it take to get that copy up to 10? Because you want the broken guy, you don't want just him to fill your roster and be okay. You're not spending all these encrypted tokens for okay. You want the goated guy. And what's it take to get him there? One is, we'll go down the list. We'll go with, first of all, his shards. I'm not sure if I'm spending 2,200 of these for 10 of those when I can get these at 300 a pop. And I can get 10 or 11 of them. 11 of them if I max this out. This seems a lot better. This doesn't seem terrible after you make sure you get your super encrypted. It's a little backwards. 125 for 5 is cheaper than 300 for 10. Usually if you buy in bulk, the bulk would be a better deal. But you've got 4 of these you can buy, but that's what, 600. Can you get to 600 up here after you buy these, which you should be, I think you should be buying first. So it's already kind of steep there. Then if you go into the store, where can you buy them? And you're not getting them here. You're not getting them here. He might pop up here if you're lucky, but I don't think there's any way you can make him pop up there. And that's assuming you, of course, you have the resources, because you should be buying your 8th metal there. I'm probably saying that wrong, sorry. You're not getting them here. You can get them here because this means you can pick who you want, and I'm assuming if it's like the legendary ones, as long as you own him, you can pick him. So you can get 10 there, but this only refreshes every month. So 10 every month. If you're lucky and he pops up here maybe, but that would be luck. And then you can't get him here. So you can get 10 in a month. And that's it. 10 in a month of his actual shards. All right. Nth metal. We know we can get them through the security plan, right? We can get 10. We get 10 at the halfway point, which is worth, or at 30, we get 5 there. And then we get 5 more at 50. So you can get 10, but again, this is over a month. So 10 nth metal, 10 of his shards, we're at 20. in a month. Not very free to play friendly, doesn't seem like. Now, hopefully they have if they have events or something, maybe. But this is the event, and these are already kind of steep to get. You know, if like I said, if you're paying money, you can buy these basically. But if you're not, you got to think about these things before you spend 150 of your super encrypted tokens to grab them. So I would say that there isn't a legendary in the game that's free to play friendly. As a free to play player, you got to be patient. You've got to be laser focused. Not that I regret getting him. I don't. He's going to be a good character, and we're going to use him because I'm going to find out. I'm going to get him to level 10. Now I got him on what's today's date? Is it the 24th? I think it's the 24th. We're going to see how long it takes me to get him to level 10, free to play. The rules are simple. Can't spend money. That's the obvious one because it's free to play. We want to keep that going. I will spend, give me 1 second there. Sorry, guys. I will spend in the base shop, in the shops, the way I always spend. I will play my regular game. The way I play the game, the way I feel is, I'm not saying I'm efficient at this game, but the way I feel is efficient. People might disagree with me, especially, you know, those who might spend a little bit of money might think, you should be spending a little bit more here. You know, you have too many diamonds or whatever. But the way I play is the way I'm going to do this. So, base shop, obviously, like we said, no go. Nothing in here. I will buy my nth metal just like I do every week. I think 5, maybe 10. But I will buy these every week. If he comes up here and I can afford it, I will get him there too. I will buy these to help with my purples because, like I said, 1,940. I will get him here because I have plenty. And I got these all for the fusion, so I should be able to have the money to get him there. And if he pops up here, I will grab him here too. And that's it. That's what we'll do. And we'll see how long it takes me to get him to level 10. Now, I'm not going to completely sacrifice the rest of my roster either for this experiment because you shouldn't be doing that either. You should be going down 1 or 2 avenues. You know, you should, if you're at the beginning of the game, you can do the 1 avenue. You know, I'm slowly creeping up on 34.3, which is where you need 2. So I need to think about Ocean Master. I need to keep him going. Now, luckily, I'm 2 weeks away from upgrading him, but again, I'm free to play. Ocean Master takes 80 of his, which I can get through the shards. But there's 200, elites right there that I'm going to need. 200 that takes away from my 1,940 I need for Aquaman. You also got to build a team around Aquaman, which means you got to level up your Mara. Guess what? She needs these too. Over 100 for every level up. 120 there. That gets her to 7, Who do I got to get? I don't have a person. Oh, I do have a well, they're legendary. I was going to say if I had an epic at 7, I would see. But even him at going 8, he needs 200. So you see, you need hundreds and hundreds of these for the other players that you got to build around your team. You got to build her up if you're going to sacrifice team. I put some into Constantine to get him to 9. If I want to get him to 10, I need 300. So you just see how this kind of stacks up and how these resources become very difficult to obtain and to manage as a free-to-play player. So that's why I would say none of these guys are free-to-play friendly. Don't go into thinking, oh, this is a free-to-play friendly guy. He's not. If you're free-to-play and you got him, you're going to be stuck with a mediocre Aquaman for a little bit. Nothing wrong with that, and that'll get you through, that might get you through a good part of the game. But he's not free-to-play friendly. So I would say if he's like your favorite character and you just have to have Aquaman, you definitely go get him. You play this game the way you want, the way you have fun is how you play the game. That's what matters, is having fun, and your fun is the most important thing. But just know that these guys aren't free-to-play friendly. None of them are. I have one, and I've played since launch, one legendary at 10. I have Lex at 8, and I wasn't close, and I'm 5 away from the 100 I need to get him to 9. and we just went over, you don't get that many in a month. So we're going to do this. We're going to see how long this takes, and then we'll decide, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we get this done in 4 to 6 weeks, and then maybe it looks a little bit better. But if this takes, 2.5 months to get him to level 10, then you got to decide, is that really free to play friendly? The other thing too is our pity system isn't great. As free to play, these are precious. You're not having 450 sitting around where you can go through 3 pities to get 3 copies of him. You're getting 1, and then you've got to make it work. You can't go back, even though this event is good for another almost 2 weeks. You're probably not going to get enough encrypted tokens. Let's just say I'm not going to get enough encrypted tokens sitting at 7 to get to another pity. And are we going to spend our precious encrypted tokens on 1%? I might get lucky with 1%, but that's what the house wants you to do. They want you to think, oh, I can hit that 1%. You can't. 99 out of 100 of you won't. So you have to take that into consideration too when you're pulling for these guys. So yeah, free to play friendly? No, none of these legendaries are. It just does not work that way. As long as this pity's as high as it is, and as long as we're in a place where if I want to try to go for a legendary, I have no say over who I pick, it's just not free to play friendly. It's going to take a long time to get these characters. I got him, but he's not goated. He's not great, and he's not going to get there for a while. So just things to think about when you're looking at these guys as they come into game and deciding whether or not you want to go for them. What do they do for your team? What do they do for your roster? Would I have been better off just still holding out for Blue Beetle, and finishing that block team? Could I make him work on the block team? Maybe I can. Maybe I can put him, main tank, off tank, Ocean Master, Bloodsport, and go that route. And maybe I make it work, and maybe I get some use out of him. But it's not going to be much, not for a while. So just things to think about as a free-to-play player. Plan out your roster. Be patient. Don't, we don't always have to chase the bright, shiny new toy, because something's coming next after him. Is it Joker? It's Halloween, it could be a Joker. It could be anybody. And, we can't chase, as free-to-play players, you can't chase them all. We have to make tough decisions on who we go after and who we don't. And so I would just encourage everyone who's a free-to-play player to make sure you're thinking this through, thinking your resources through, and thinking about how this affects your roster in a positive way before you decide to spend your encrypted tokens, your super encrypted tokens, especially on a legendary. But we're going to do this experiment. We're going to see how long it takes. And like I said, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it happens a lot quicker than I think. I hope it does. But I'm not sure if it will. And I also have another experiment that I think I'm going to try next week. We'll kick that one off with the first of the month, and we'll see some other things. Because I'm curious, and as a free-to-play player, it's important of how many resources we can get in a month, how many we can get in a week, because those resources for us are scarce, especially nth metals and especially legendary shards. There's not a whole lot of them. So all right, guys, I just wanted to keep this short. Like I said, no legendaries free to play friendly. I just don't believe it. Maybe I'll get proven wrong, but we're gonna do some science here, and we're gonna see how long it takes a free to play account to rank up him from scratch to level 10. So hope you guys come along for the ride. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time, and good luck to everybody out there. Have a good one.